Now we were in a convoy going from Bombay out the Far East, and we got to. We were the last ship in the convoy because she was an old 3-funnel coal-burning ship with. And all the other ships in the convoy were modern ships, diesel-driven ships, and they were all faster than what the Empress of Asia was. So she was the one that was at the back of the convoy. And anyway, when we were approaching Singapore, there was a flight of... we were about 20 miles, something like that. Flight of bombers come over. There was 27 bombers, and there was only one of them dropped his bombs, but he missed the convoy completely. Now, shortly after, there was another couple of flights of bombers of 3, and when they came over, they'd done it in a different way. They started to peel off. I was on top of the ship. I was a machine gunner. They came over and they started to peel off one at a time and come down and dive bomb us. And anyway, they hit us about 4 times, about 4 bombs dropped on the ship. And with her being a very old ship, they didn't have any modern firefighting equipment on there, and they couldn't do much about it. She just caught fire and burnt, and she burnt and burnt, and she burnt herself out. She was just a flaming mass from end to end. She was just white hot. It was an amazing sight. It's something you never forget, because to see a ship that size, she was about 23,000 ton, but she was an amazing sight to see it burning, like, you know. The ship was, and of course all your kit was on there. You lost everything. I jumped in the water, and but before I jumped in, I was with my pal, a man called Pat Regan, and she was burning the ship, like, and there was columns of thick black smoke coming down the corridor. Say if that's if this is the sea this side and the cabins are that side, and the ship was moving that way, and the smoke was coming down, and we were by the cabins there. And I said to him, I'm going to go over the side, Pat. So I said, come on, let's go. So I get from there, back up onto the rail of the ship. And before I jumped, I turned around and I said to Pat, come on, Pat, that smoke's coming, you know. But he didn't come, and I jumped, and I was in the water for a couple of hours. But Pat stayed, and he must have got caught in the smoke. And once you've had a whiff of that smoke, you're dead. So I never seen any more of him. He died, like, you know. And so that was how I lost one of my pals, like, you know. But anyway, I climbed up onto the handrail of the ship, and she's a big ship, a very high ship. I suppose it must be about 40 foot up, something like, you know, way up. And there's only the lifeboats, no lifeboats come off her. Eventually, I like to say, I jumped into the water, and I never thought I was going to come up, because I went down so deep in the water, like, you know. I thought my head was going to burst before I come up. Anyway, I come up and looked around, and the only thing I could see a raft with one bloke on it, a fair way from me. So I had. we had these old cork life jackets that they'd break your neck if you went in the water without and didn't hold on to them properly when you jumped. Anyway, I swam to this thing now, to this raft. You couldn't get on the raft, like, you know, it was just an air tank with ropes hanging round the side of it, and you just hung on to it. You didn't attempt to get onto it because the thing would just tip up. So anyway, there was this other chap and myself on it, and I said to him, once I got to it, like I said, well, we may as well swim to the nearest people in the water and get them on board, like. So that's what we done. We started swimming, like, with this. He was on one side, I was on the other side, and we was pulling this thing, like, as we were swimming. Eventually, we had about 50 people hanging round the side of this raft. It's only an air tank, you know, with ropes on it. And, you know, you can't get on the thing. So that's how we was. And then we were stuck there in the water. We were starting to drift out from the Straits out towards the Pacific. And the trouble was, like, you know, that the currents were taking us. And anyway, eventually there was an Indian an Indian gunboat come and caught us and took us on board, gave us a packet of fags and a drink, and that was it. So we were in the water for a fair time, like, you know. But anyway, we survived that, and then we go on the shore to Singapore, and they didn't have any equipment to give us. They didn't have any surplus boots or anything to give us, you know. We were in a right old mess, like, you know. So anyway, then a short while later, we were captured. We were told to surrender by General Percival. Told to surrender to the Japanese. So that's what you done, you surrendered.